We've been talking about national security and civil liberties, and there's a good reason for that, given the times that we live in, and given the times that's always a fundamental and central question for any constitutional system, especially ours. I do find that there are other equally profound problems of constitutionalism, which can be described as civil liberties, that are central to American politics that I hope to explore in the writing that I'm doing now. For example, consider the question of the place of religion in politics. Or consider more deeply the problem of how do we maintain a democracy in which we're sure we can talk to each other. And sometimes, historically, people have tried to answer that by saying, well, everyone should have to speak the same political language. Everyone should have to be an American. Some sort of melting pot notion of political homogenization that results in us all talking in the same way. And the problem with that is people who have deep religious beliefs or different cultures, or who for one reason or another perceive themselves to see the world very differently than do their fellow citizens, feel excluded by those kinds of principles, those kinds of rules. On the other hand, there's a reason to be worried. There's a reason to think that we ought not to let what's sometimes called a sectarian worldview, one that's particular to a group, to take over. We're a country with enormous differences. We're enormously pluralistic and enormously heterogeneous. And one of the things our Constitution is clearly set up to do is to allow the democracy to be ongoing despite the fact of that pluralism. There are people in Europe, especially right now, who are saying, maybe democracy is only possible if we all are the same, if we all have the same religion, or we all have the same ethnicity, or we all have the same culture. That's never been the American approach. But I also don't think that the American democracy has ever been more powerfully tested by differences of religion and culture, and by differences over the role of those kinds of deeply held beliefs in political discourse than is happening today. I think there have been other periods in our history where this has been a big issue, but I certainly think it's a big issue right now. And so you have people saying it's improper. We ought not to let people's religious views dictate the kind of laws we have. And we have other people saying we ought not to let anyone say that you can't make laws based on your religious views. And I think that is a deep, intractable problem. I think that's one of those deep and profound philosophical problems. Well, what do we mean by American democracy that arguments about the Constitution are all about? And so I'd like to do some deep thinking if I can and some writing on those kinds of questions in my next project. In fact, I'm working on something about that right now.